I'm exhausted. This video today was meant to be how, like, oh, I got my ADHD diagnosis, so I'm looking to get more diagnoses to help me so therapy can be more targeted, so my behavior changes and lifestyle changes can be better targeted. I give up for the next year or so. I give up on searching for these diagnoses. I can't deal with this system anymore. All my symptoms are worse just because of the stress of trying to get treatment for the symptoms that I've got. Today was meant to be, here are all the videos of me being stressed out before getting diagnosed. Here are all the videos of me going through these steps. Here are all the videos of me, and I'll show them because it was a process. It still is a process. It's 3:15 and I might miss the appointment if I go to sleep, and I sleep through my alarm, which I often do because my dreams get too real and everything's like just hard to wake up from, nice deep sleeps. And I can't do that. This is a super important appointment. I've been waiting for this for many, many, many years. In true me fashion, I've arrived 2 hours early for my appointment before anything is opened because I have anxiety and I just want to get this over and done with. I feel like I'm always chronically early to everything to make up for the fact that I would be late otherwise. It is 4 a.m. once again. I am very tired and very stressed. Today is the psychiatrist appointment for the ADHD diagnosis. This is technically meant to be the final step, and I am terrified that the dude is just gonna ignore me or say that, I don't have ADHD, I don't need any help or anything. My GP has said I need help, the psychologists have said I need help, and this is the final stage, and I'm just terrified. The complete process of getting a diagnosis is completely opaque. I did not know what method or what way to go around. I don't know how much it normally costs. And I know in Australia, some of our services are bulk billed. I have seen a psychologist under a mental health plan, which is subsidised by the government. But not all of these things are. And I'm constantly being left out of pocket for things I wasn't expecting to have to pay for. I don't know what to expect, how to expect it, how to get this extra help. The first stage of this whole process was an 8-month waiting period for a clinical psychologist who was in training. She absolutely lovely, and her work was checked by someone higher than her so that it was all confirmed. And that process was actually, as much as it took ages to do the process, we went through heaps of testing, heaps of everything, structured interviews. They even did a weird little IQ test on me. For all the stress that was, and having to wait 8 months, it wasn't too bad. I just didn't know what to expect. Then I got the report. And the report says I meet all the diagnostic criteria for ADHD, both inattentive and hyperactive, mostly inattentive. And I feel good. I feel like I've been heard and seen, and she helps develop a treatment plan for me and recommends group therapies and other things to sign up for, and going to talk to my GP. And that takes an extra month for that to be put together because these things just take a while. And then I have to go to my GP. And he looks at that and says, yeah, great. You need to go see a psychiatrist to get approved for any medication and any other subsidised help. I'm exhausted at this stage. I've gone through months of testing after months of waiting, and now I've got to go see a psychiatrist. And I'm doing this while applying to go to Japan. I'm doing this while applying for scholarships. I'm doing this while trying to maintain a job. I'm doing this while trying to maintain a family life, while trying to be an artist, while trying to do anything and everything. And I hit my limit when I get to a psychiatrist. Luckiest thing I've ever thought I had. It was only a week's wait. Fantastic, I thought, oh, bloody hell, yeah, straight in. That's the shortest I've ever seen a waiting time for a psychiatrist. And I go in, the guy's just like, g'day. How you doing? I'm just not going to read this report that took months to do, that you put your mental health on the line to do. And instead, he decided to just ask me invasive question after invasive question, re-traumatizing the whole process. I answer to the best of my ability because I've learnt to be able to do that. It's, sometimes reasonable to have to answer these questions. But he keeps going and he keeps asking me weirder questions, and then he starts veering into other diagnostic things. And I'm like, dude, I don't fit any of these other things. I've come here for a specific issue. I'm more than happy to, go through these things, but this report has literal diagnostic tests with real, hard results that you can look at, and you're refusing to look at it and marking off your own checklists instead. Not just that, but if he'd actually read the report, he would know that asking me certain questions, especially about my body and previous traumas, it's not great for my mental health. I thought psychiatrists were interested in the mental health of their patients. He asks, have you received any trauma? And I'm like, report right there. I have a terminal diagnosis with my allergies. I will die from that shit. I have almost died multiple times. And you know what? Apparently that wasn't enough. Apparently even having to talk about the trauma of having almost died multiple times wasn't enough for him to be like, okay, we can move on to further diagnostic or whatever. I have to bring in other people who can confirm my behaviours, despite the fact that I have a confirmation of behaviour professionally, where they did interview both previous psychologists of mine and people in my life. They've already done this. The process is already done. Why do I need someone else to confirm that, I'm hyperactive and inattentive to a nightmarish degree? I shouldn't need the approval of other people in my life. So I leave this guy's office traumatized, having to have gone over and over and over these questions, being accused of things of hearing voices and, not actually having ADHD, because it's normal to just, not be able to organize anything. I don't think that's true. I've been able to organize a lot. What's abnormal is my reactions to it. I've had so much stress, so much drain from all of these things, and it's dismissed because of my age, my gender variance, my gender altogether. The original report included things like report cards from my youth, recorded things like what my mother has said about me, or my partners have said about me. And now I seek out that help, and it's still not good enough. I'm not good enough by myself. My efforts to get help aren't good enough. I still need to prove. I'm going to assume that most psychiatrists aren't like this guy. This guy did just have a 1-week waiting list. Maybe that's for a reason. I don't mind doing any extra tests. I don't mind going through a whole another assessment with a psychiatrist, provided they actually read the report and understand that I'm not going to go through with a whole test if it re-traumatizes me. If it makes my symptoms worse, I think I'd rather just suffer through the day-to-day. I've made it this far without extra help, not without a lot of grit and effort. It's beyond upsetting. And when I was driving home from this dude who, by the way, did not bulk bill me despite the fact that it was meant to be a actual full bulk billed session. They refused. They're just like, oh no, you have to pay extra money. I had to put that thing on one of those buy now, pay later apps that I had to like sign up for and make sure I had in the office there and then. Because all of a sudden I had to owe hundreds of extra dollars I wasn't having to expect to pay. So I'm getting all these things. I'm told to fill out more forms. I'm told I'm meant to have an EKG and blood tests and everything, even though that's not actually something that you need to have to get ADHD drugs. It's only there if you already have pre-existing conditions. And because of my body trauma, I keep up to date. I keep up to date with all my health. And they couldn't look through any of my history or any of my records. He didn't care. So I get in the car and I'm done. The only thing I can think about is how much worse it would be if I was in a worse position right now. Because I am already being treated for, anxiety and other things. I take Zoloft, an SSRI. It's a very, very good drug for me personally, and I have experienced a lot of good things out of it. And I think without that, I think I would have just gone into a crazy rage. I drive home in just complete silence for 45 minutes. I just stare at a wall when I get back. I'm just done. I have no energy to fight for a diagnosis anymore. I probably will later, but in about a month or so, I go to Japan. And I have training to do to get there. I have to make sure that, I've got all these things and checklists and stuff. My mental health and my treatment isn't a priority anymore. And that's how it's always been. For anyone in any worse position than me, let's say you've got a more severe disorder, or you have ADHD and it's affecting you worse, or you've got issues where you have even less money or less access. Maybe you don't have a car. Maybe you can't get from one place to another. I couldn't even imagine how bad that feeling would be. It would be more than devastating. I got to come home from that upset to a house with bills paid, food in the fridge, pets to play with, and a support network to talk to. That makes me more privileged than so many other people. I am eternally grateful, because without those things, that would have just turned nasty. So today's video was meant to be me showing off all those little videos that I've shown you about how happy I was to be heard and listened to and understood finally. And I feel like I have been by some of the professionals I've talked to. The clinical psych, previous psychologists, my GP, he's a real G. They've all been lovely. They've all tried their best within the systems that we have to work in to get there. But they're limited as much as I am in that way, where they're helping me follow the steps and institutional needs to get the help that I need. I'm following it with them. We walk hand in hand to get there, and they've had to hand me off to a system that's so opaque and not understandable, that could just fob me off and say, oh, you don't have this. One of my favorite YouTube channels, Philosophy Tube, she recently did a great video that really encapsulated this kind of catch-22, these kinds of issues. And she obviously went through it with trans healthcare. I'm going through it with mental healthcare. And it's this issue of unneeded hierarchy, or a hierarchy that is there and could be structured really well, but individuals get in the way. And this is something, as a disabled person, I've been disabled for most of my entire life. I've always expected this. I had to go through the same thing when I went and got my EpiPens and got my allergies all done. I had to do it when I got my arthritis. I had to do it with all sorts of things, just having a uterus. you know, going through those steps that felt unneeded. I know that's the system I had to face, and I thought I could get through it. And this week totally destroyed that for me. I've been in such a bad mood all week. I didn't want to make a video today. I know it's just a small time thing and it's mostly for just self-reflection, but oh man, forcing myself to do this and at least getting it out there and saying it helps a lot. Yeah, when people don't get diagnoses, when people look at self-diagnoses, I don't totally believe in self-diagnostics, but I do believe in like using it to begin to prepare and help yourself and begin to look for, you know, that kind of help. I've already instituted heaps of things to help me behaviorally, but I'm at that limit. I'm at the limit of what I can do that way, you know. I have lights that turn automatically on and off at certain times so that I can actually sleep properly. I have automated, like, noise-making things. I have everything sorted so that I can live already, and it's still not enough to remove all the distress. These diagnoses are beyond hard to get. If you are struggling getting a diagnosis, man, it's normal. It's honestly normal for this to be that hard. It is normal for people to say that your needs are not going to be fulfilled. You are not going to get the help that you need immediately. I don't want to be resilient about this anymore. I don't want to fight that fight anymore. I'm going to deal with things as I have dealt with them for the first 30 years of my life. I'm going to concentrate on what I can do to help myself, and I'm going to ensure that when I get back from Japan, it might be the time when I have the energy to continue on this journey, but that's not it now. If you wonder why people self-diagnose, self-medicate, whatever, they have different lifestyles, they have different ways of living, it's because of this kind of thing where you try and reach out in the mainstream for help, it doesn't work. You are left with nothing but what you can do within your own scope. And maybe that's living a different lifestyle. Maybe that's, you know, being more isolated simply so that you can survive. So if you need to do those things, more power to you. I'm very sorry that it's gotten this bad. I've always known it's this bad. I just had the hope that it was very close to being done. I had this hope that what I'd been doing was enough, and it wasn't. I was so close. I've got these reports, I've got these things. They say, you do need this. My GP believes me. Psychologists believe me. Doctors believe me. And I still can't get there. I don't have the help I need because there's still more steps. I can't do it.